logic is useful, but it's like a tool. Tools are useful, but in themselves are absurd, kind of like a hammer. You know, I can hammer with it. I could even use a hammer as a doorstop or a paperweight, but basically when I'm not using it, I put it up. And if I sat with a hammer to try to get some ultimate meaning from it, it can't be derived from any of what it is as a hammer. It's got to go beyond that description, or that, what I'll call functional description of things. And that it's okay for things to be functional. It's just that, you know, where are they going? Like, where do things lead? If the world is it's like a machine, what is it producing? And it's just kind of I said something in a post one time about it's like a meaningless Rube Goldberg device that cycles around on itself. Sure, that's kind of what it is. Birth, death, just, you know, it's meaningless in itself. And the meaning is, see, what I would say is the meaning is who we are, and that who we are is not something that can be captured by thought. Who we are is awareness of thought, or of thoughts. And when that awareness is without judgment, so non-judgmental awareness, we just see clearly. See, our nature is to see the meaninglessness of those things. And then when that happens, if we can abide in that state of awareness, it could be a meditation or just walking around, you'll just notice things are kind of absurd and they don't really, it's never really resolved, you know. It's like a soap opera. I mentioned that in this chapter too, about it's, you know, it keeps you tuning in week after week and it never ends. It never really resolves. Some things, plot lines will resolve, but not ultimately. And if you want to be free of that, see, we're attached to that. And that's kind of, soap opera is actually kind of interesting, or, you know, drama, like a movie or a TV show, a good one anyway, could be interesting. But what makes it interesting is we're not in it. We're not suffering from that logic that the show represents. We're witnessing it, and yet we can sort of suspend disbelief and enjoy it, but not be totally caught up in it. It's kind of like that. But if life is like that, which I'm saying it is, we're one of those characters in the drama, and our job to become free is to become present, to notice it, and to see that it's basically made up of a stream of mental content, of thinking, and just to notice that. And I know that there's much more to be said about that practice, or the many practices, probably endless number of practices of how to access that particular state of awareness, but that's basically what it is. And then we can use the mind without it using us, without it taking us over, you know, starting wars or something like that. I'm sure there's a consistent logic for why wars need to be fought and things like that, you know, collateral damage and, you know.
Yeah.
But
traditions.
Yeah.
Traditions, very important.
Right, tradition. It usually has to do with the past. You know, I'll talk about this later in the book about, you know, the fatherland. I heard that the other day. You know, we need to do this or that for the fatherland, which refers to, you know, the land of our fathers. It's like, who cares? You know, they were just because we're related to them doesn't mean that they were wise. So our job is to become free of that. A lot of this has to do with breaking that chain of history and thinking that we have to live it in a same or similar way that our forefathers did. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, we want to break free of that. And I'm just saying that my experience is when we break free of that, it's satisfying, ultimately satisfying. And basically, as it functions in the world, it's more or less happy and sane. But yeah, it's logically consistent.
Soap opera, it has own logic as well. So it's kind of easier to follow than. In our case, generally speaking, it's easier to follow than be an actor in soap opera and suddenly go for strike, you know. and say, well, okay, I know that it's only a stream, the whole soap opera, and I don't really want to play into it because I have better things to do. Or I want to play, but I am not really into it. It's kind of antisocial.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we react, if we're in it, see, that's the thing, is we're in the dream, or I could look at it that way too, like a soap opera, it's like a dream that we're in, or really a nightmare. I mean, let's face it, we're going to die. It's kind of unpleasant if you think about it, but, we're in this dream. I'm glad we could all laugh at that. If we react, if we say, well, I don't want to be in this dream, and so I'm going to, distance myself from it, or I'm going to pull away from it, that could be just a reaction that actually can enmesh us more deeply in that dream logic, because it's sort of like the monster under the bed, They'll say there's a monster under the bed, and say, well, you could say, well, I'm going to retreat more deeply under my covers, and I'm not going to think about the monster under the bed, or whatever. The thing is, that tends to reify or make stronger that sense of monster, when the real answer is to really to watch it, to look carefully, take our flashlight, shine under the bed, and see that there's nothing there, and then we're free of that particular delusion. Maybe there are others who are convinced there's a monster, and so we could play along, but we'll never go back to that belief that there's a monster.